Okay, part two. I'm going to talk about on F chord, and again, I want to reiterate the fact that you do have to get the bar chord down. So there's no real shortcut to getting around that. I'm going to talk about two ways though that we can replace that, and a lot of times I will do this because, say for example, we're in the key of C, and I'm playing a C chord. And the G chord is the 5 chord in the key of C. Got all these pretty open strings. And then you get to the F chord, and there's a couple issues with it. One thing, all my fingers are being used, so I can't do a lot of enhancements. That's one problem. The other problem is that sonically, it's all fretted notes. So it's a little darker sounding than, say, an open G chord or an open C chord, okay? So one way I can add some open strings to the F chord is to give myself some an available finger maybe to have some fun with the chord would be to capo. So if I capoed at the 3rd fret, then a C chord is going to be an A shape, a G chord is going to be an E shape, and an F chord is going to be a D shape. And that's what James Taylor capoed a lot. So the F chord then becomes an open chord, and has at least in this case one open string. But if I go up another fret and go to the 5th fret, now I play a G shape, and it's a C chord, and D is the D shape is a G chord, and the F chord now is a C shape. Tune, but basically you get the idea, okay? And let me just tell you about it. I've got other videos on capoing, and basically my philosophy on capoing is not to transpose. When I have a chart and it says C, G, F, I don't, if I'm going to transpose and use the capo, I don't sit down and write, okay, for C I'm going to write G, and for G I'm going to write D, and for F I'm going to write C, because those are the shapes I'm using. No, I actually know my fretboard well enough that I know that this is a C chord. I'm not thinking of this at all as a G chord. This is a C chord. And that's just because I know my fretboard really well, but also because you can just take that position and learn it. You don't necessarily need to know how to capo every fret, but you might want to learn to capo at the 1st fret and learn that this is an E flat chord, because that's a lot easier E flat chord to play than a bar chord of some kind. So now here's another example of F. I could play it like this, but then G is going to be a bar chord, okay? So if we're in the key of F, this might work because we have F and then B flat and we have a C, but we're still going to have to do a bar chord here. But if a lot of guys are really good at playing, really like playing the key of E, they'll capo at the 1st fret if they're going to play an F, and thus getting rid of the F chord. And you have an F chord with lots of open strings. Now, the other thing we can do is we can start adding open strings to our F chords. We've got our basic F chord here. Well, we can play a real simple little one. We can go like this. And sometimes that works. Sometimes that chord will work. If you're doing something like sometimes I'll play an F chord where I'll add the G on top. Don't really need a big F chord sometimes. Sometimes a small sweet one like that is a really nice alternative to having this big 4 chord. The C chord is the 1 chord, and you kind of want it to be kind of a big chord. The 5 chord, a lot of times you want that to be a big chord, but the 4 chord you don't always want a big chord. You may want a smaller one. So this is a good substitute for it. Okay. Another one we could do is F major 7. So this is just be the open E string. Okay. So it's just top 4 strings, F, A, C, E, or 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay? So I go C, G, now you'll notice I'm hammering on that second finger. Well, if I take that second finger off, then now I've got a G in there, an open string. Now I've got an F chord that has actually 2 out of 4 notes that are open. It still has the sound of a 4 chord. It's not as strong as that amen cadence, that 4-1 cadence. Okay? But all of those chords, this one with the pinky on top with the G, the open E, the one with the open G, or I can play open G and the pinky on top. They all have a 4 sound. They all have that F sound. Okay, so now the other thing I can do is I can go back to my little F chord here, bar it, and I can put an A in the bass. Okay, now we're talking about an inversion of F. This is not a root inversion. Now we don't have an F on the bottom. We actually have an A, which is one of the notes in the F chord. So it's a legitimate note to put in the bass. But it won't have quite as strong a sound going to the C because of that A. But if you're doing something like F over A to G over B to C, it'll work. So now you've got an F chord that's only 4 notes with fingers and 1 string open. Okay, I could go to the F major 7, open up that E string. Okay. So it's 0, nothing on the bottom string. 0, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so that would be F major 7 over A. Okay, or I could add the pinky, F ninth over A, F2 over A. I could open the G string up and have the E string open, and now here's an F chord that's more open strings than fretted strings. That's crazy. Okay, we went from this 6 notes, 3 of them depending on the bar, this big giant F chord with lots of struggle, to this kind of very open sounding F chord. And it's not a super strong F chord. I mean, it's got all the notes of an F chord plus a couple extras. Okay, we have an A, which is the third. We have F, which is the root. The G, which is the open. That's the second. The C is the 5th, and then the E is the major 7th. But it still has that F to. You can still hear that 4-1 cadence. And a cadence is just a two chord progression. Okay, so now this one's for extra credit. I use this one actually probably more than any of them, and it's hard. But basically what I do is I take a bar like this, okay, and then I bring it down so that I'm just playing the top 2 strings with my bar, okay. Then I open up the G. Okay, so now I've got kind of what would be an F2 chord, but there's no third in it. There's no A in this chord. An F2 chord over C in the bass. So we have another inversion. Before we had F, which was root inversion. We had the A in the bass, which was first inversion. We put the third in the bass, and now it's second inversion. I know it's confusing. It's crazy, but that's what it is. So this is second inversion F chord, F2 chord. Here's a second inversion F chord. If I just didn't play the bottom string on a regular F chord, I open up this G string, so that's open, and I get basically an F2 chord with a C in the bottom. Okay. But what I do a lot of times is I'll take this freed up second finger and I'll put it over here on F. Okay. So now I've got a pretty full, big sounding F chord, and I've got 1 open string in it, and there's no third in this, but it's kind of a pretty chord. It's just extra credit getting that one down. You can see, I don't know if you can see my third finger and fourth finger are really laying down. Here, I'll bring it up closer to the camera, see if I can do this. You see that? Modern technology. Okay, so hopefully this will give you some ideas. You can check out videos on capoing. I will probably do some more videos on capoing because I'm a big fan of it. It really helps you sound better, which is a lot of times the most important thing. You want whatever you play to sound really good. So hope this is helpful. God bless you guys. I'll talk to you soon.